This is the second small group discussion with J. Krishnamurti at Brockwood Park, 1970.
Shall we go on where we left off yesterday? We had asked the question whether it is at all possible to be completely free from all violence, both at the conscious as well as the unconscious levels. We said that the real root or the movement of this violence is the separation, division brought about by the me, the self. The me that divides itself when it is convenient and comfortable, not too dangerous for itself, in various forms of aggression, of despair, of hope, of good and the bad, and asserting itself in its demands to fulfill and finding itself frustrated. The me that causes the fears, the aggressive drives, the sense of seeking some reality which is projected by the me. And so there is always a division in itself, and therefore the me is the root or the movement of conflict, both outwardly and inwardly. That's right, isn't it? That's what we discussed yesterday. And we said also, do we really perceive this fact? Do we really see this as a living thing, not just as a theory or a supposition, but see it as we would see a map, a living thing, and see all the intricacies and the difficulties, the dangers of this movement called the me? Do we see it with the eyes of the me, and therefore fear is engendered from that? Or do we see it without a purpose? Without a principle, without giving, without any sense of direction, just to observe, just to see. I think that's where we left off. And please also, if I may point out, this is not a weekend entertainment. This is really quite serious matter to go into, and I do not know how far you want to go into it. If you're at all serious, one must go to the very end of it. So one must find out for oneself whether one is looking, seeing, with a purpose, with a motive, with a direction, this whole structure and nature of the me, which is a living thing, or do we see it without a purpose, without a direction, completely? Because if one has a purpose in one's observation, then there is a division. And therefore from that there comes fear, conflict, and all the rest of it. And can one look without a purpose, without a direction, without the sense of duality. If one cannot, why is it that one can't? We've talked about that too a little bit. You understand the question? If you weren't here yesterday, is the question clear? All that we've said this morning. The me that identifies itself with a particular race, with a particular class, with a nationality, with certain qualities, with certain religious dogmas, beliefs, rituals, with certain forms of a social and environmental influence and changes and reformation. All that is the me. The me that is the mischief maker. You call it the ego, the personality, whatever you like to name it. It's this living thing that's always seeking, searching, denying, in conflict, in identifying itself with something it considers greater, the whole movement of the me and its activities. That, we said, is the root, is the movement of all violence. Whether it be sexual violence, whether it be the violence of racial hatreds and class differences, wars, And also it is the violence that the me says, I must discipline myself, I must conform myself to a certain pattern. Projected, self-projected, or imposed upon it by environment. Do you want to discuss that point? In what way do you want to? It's fairly clear, isn't it?
We seem to have got stuck there.
We are stuck there. Why?
Is it something to do with the habit of purpose?
Habit. So include every movement of thought as the me. Include everything which thought calls the me. That movement, the me may not operate in science, in a laboratory, but the moment that you come out of that, the me operates. My country, my ambition, my wanting to be bigger, all the rest of it. I was told once that the cross of Christianity means the I wipe it out.
The Oxford group in the 20s did that one.
What?
The Oxford group.
I don't know whichever group said it. I believe it's much older than that. It's really, well, in India too, there were various symbols to deny the me. Various symbols which represent the denial of the me. Because if the me persists and continues, and with all its divisions, meditation and the inquiry or the perception of what is true is quite impossible. So one must really go into this, if you're at all serious, to see whether it's possible for the mind to be completely free of all violence. And in the discovery of it, whether it is possible, also whether it is possible to live in this world with all the brutality that's going on around one.
Isn't to deny the me a form of violence?
Of course, I was only saying that is this symbolic meaning of that cross, that's all. You can't deny it. And who is the entity that denies it? If the entity that denies it is still the me, it is the perpetuation of violence. And also, to deny something without really understanding it is a form of violence.
Isn't it necessary first to accept the me?
No, sir, why should I accept it? It is operating all the time. Why should I accept the sunrise? It is there. The sun. The me is there. All the time active. With all its problems, with its opinions, with its evaluations, judgments, what should be, what must be, what should not be, and all the rest of it. This is how we operate. With all the incredible experiences the me has had in the form of sorrow, despair, fear, the me still continues.
It's the only thing we know, and we don't want to go beyond into something we don't know.
But if the me is the movement that brings about this chaos, this confusion, this sorrow, all the rest of it, doesn't one see the danger of it?
Did you say we can't dissolve it through meditation?
No, sir. No. I said you cannot dissolve it through meditation. I introduced it rather too early, meditation, sorry.
But if we do see this, it only happens for a moment.
With what?
If we do see this, something that happens only for a moment, it starts.
Do you see this? Don't say for a moment or for a length of time. Do you actually see this fact, the danger of this me, in all its forms?
But if we see it like this and judge it and condemn it,
then the me is still in operation. Please, sir, we said, can we look at this movement called the me without a purpose, without a motive, without trying to get rid of it, or deny it, or suppress it, or transform it? Or can you look at it without any motive, without any purpose or direction, just to observe the movement going on, both inwardly and outwardly? All the political campaign that's going on in this country at the moment, all the wars, all the chicanery of all the priests throughout the world. So one must find out for oneself how you look at this movement. With what eyes you look. Do you look at this movement with a mind that has a purpose, has a motive behind that look. And if you do have a purpose, a motive, a direction, then that direction, that purpose, that motive is still the activity of the me. Or do you look without the purpose, the motive, the direction? This is very important to find out. Please do give a little bit of your, give your little passion to this. You know, this has been, I think, as one observes in all the various religions, this has been the direction, more or less. People have said the self must be destroyed. The self must be put away. And so in its place, they have put the structure, the things which thought has built. Right? Symbols, saviors, gods, a purpose, an ideal, a great tremendous hope and all the rest of it. But it's still the movement of thought which is still the me. Oh, is that, I think this is fairly clear, isn't it?
It's a vicious circle.
Vipin, sir?
A vicious circle.
Yes, so what is one to do? Is it a vicious circle? It is a vicious circle if the observer is caught in the movement of direction, purpose, motive, suppression, and all the rest of it. Then he can't get out of it. Then he's living in a perpetual prison. So to look at this movement non-purposively. Can you do it? If one can't, why not? Why can't one see this thing with eyes that are not corrupt with purpose? Made corrupt by purpose direct, Why can't one look at it without all the confusion, chattering of the mind? Listeners, do join.
This motive is still there somewhere.
We want?
There's a motive still there somewhere, all hidden from us, so we haven't really seen it.
You think there's always a motive.
Well,
Hidden, you may not see it, but it's always lurking somewhere in the background.
no, I don't think so.
I think it's a matter of brainwashing from the child that the motives have always been put there. You don't do something.
Then how do you brainwash the me now? The child may have been stuffed with all this, but how is my mind brainwashed? The communists do it in order to put their own theories into it. The religious people do it, put, all the rest of it.
So would the danger, the very danger of it be seen and then...
And do you see the danger of it? Not we must then sin, but do you actually see the danger of the me as you see a danger of an animal or something, real physical danger? I'm afraid you don't.
More,
No, you don't, do you? Let's be simple about this matter. Huh? Do you see the movement of the me as a tremendous danger to live in security, to live freely, to live with great joy? Do you see it as a tremendous danger? As you would see, if you had a snake in this room, which was a poisonous one, you would be on, you wouldn't be sitting here so casually.
But if you call it a danger or troublemaker or a mischief maker,
Those are words to convey, otherwise you must use certain words. Like physical danger. Precipice is a physical danger, and you act instantly. Now, we don't see the danger of the me, and we carry on. That's all.
The dangers we see are dangers to the me.
No, danger, all right, danger for survival, if you want to put it that way. Because wherever there is division between you and the me, we and they, there must be war. The communist, the capitalist, the socialist, you follow? The Catholic, the Protestant, there must be war. And therefore no security for any human being. And that's what I call danger.
Don't you think life is dangerous?
Not invented, it is dangerous when it's invented by the me. But there's quite a different kind of adventurous thing when the me is not.
But there's still risk, in the sense that there's still vulnerability.
So let's leave all that aside. Let us stick to this fact. Does one see this movement of the me? This chattering of the me? Not what will happen when this movement comes to an end. That's not a relevant question, if I may point out. But to see this, to look at it. So what's the point of my repeating it over and over again?
The difficulty is we're all trying to see it.
Is that the difficulty, that you're all trying to see it? It's there. What have I to try?
But we do.
It is easy to look at a map, isn't it?
Beg pardon?
It isn't difficult to look at a physical map.
Is it difficult?
We can see the dangers outside, and we can see that the me, the general me of humanity, is causing it, but we can't see the danger inside, I think. Or we don't have the energy to see the danger inside.
So aren't you concerned gravely and very seriously with what's happening in the world? The Middle East war, Vietnam, the conflict, the so-called physical revolution that's going on in America, the Russian tyranny, the lack of freedom. You know what's happening in the world?
I do, yeah.
Aren't you concerned passionately about all that? And don't you say, my God, can this violence end? Ever? I mean, do you want your children to be destroyed? I say, apparently you don't seem to care.
Aren't we too concerned with ourselves? We like ourselves too much to even want to see.
If if you're really concerned with yourself, really concerned with yourself, you would see the danger of all this.
Yes, but I think that somewhere there is a stopping place there.
There is.
Having seen something that it doesn't like at all, it veers off. And
You mean you haven't the sustained passion to look, energy,
not sustained, yes.
sustained observation? Is that it? Why would you do that if there was a snake in the room?
No, of course one wouldn't, but one doesn't think of oneself as a snake. One thinks one is
You
naturally
see,
a snake.
you're all.
One doesn't see the wars in the world as an extension of the wars in oneself.
Look, sir, you want to survive, don't you? You want food, you want clothes, you want somebody else to have food, clothes. What is preventing all this? Sovereign governments, different, all the division. And this division is brought about by this movement of the me, which is the very essence of violence.
So the desire for psychological security, maybe people were not clear on this, how the mind, maybe on the deeper levels of the mind, yearn for psychological security in themselves, and so they...
So you may want psychological security, but you must have not only psychological security, but physical security to survive. And you cannot survive if there is violence.
It's the same thing which is also creating life, which is ordering it. One can't see, one doesn't really see the difference between the me or the personality when it's working usefully in the world or when it's harmful.
So look, sir, what is useful, what is beneficial, is soon turned into mischief. It soon becomes destructive. You see this happening. They introduce a new law which brings about destruction for something else.
This may be so in general, but in one's own life, one is using one's personality to do one's work. And this is where the confusion comes in.
Yes, so what? What is the question, sir?
The question is that one isn't familiar enough with this process.
You mean, sir, that one isn't really completely dissatisfied with the thing, with the movement called the me. One observes certain benefits, certain pleasures, certain usefulness in this movement, so one keeps to that movement.
I think that's it, that this is what one relies on.
Yes, I understand
If one
that.
hasn't got enough of it, one becomes one sinks in life.
Yes.
And one also sees it's dangerous.
Then what is one to do, sir?
One hasn't seen the other states sufficiently, would it be that?
Is that it? One has not seen the others, the freedom from the movement, and therefore another state. And one has not seen that state, therefore one cannot put this aside. Is that it?
We don't want to pull the house down without knowing how to rebuild another one.
I'm afraid these similes are rather dangerous.
I think sometimes we do seem to be really sick of the way this me is operating. It seems so tremendous that we just don't know what to do about it. It seems overwhelming. And I found that's when the mind veers off onto something else, moves away from this.
one can see the other state at times, but that still doesn't help one get rid of the me.
So what shall I do, sir? What shall we do when we know more or less that it's quite a dangerous thing, the me? What shall we do? Though it has certain benefits, though it builds roads, you follow all the rest of it. But taken it as a whole movement, it's quite destructive. Now what shall we do?
Can we observe it to death?
No, what shall we do, sir? You're faced with this problem. Of violence in the world, in me, in you, this tremendous movement that's going on inside one. What shall we do about it?
Get away from it.
Get away from it. How? Tell me, show me.
If one's totally concerned, you're totally aware of it, you're watching all the time.
Now, my lady, don't. You see, if you are, you are aware of this, aren't you?
But anything you do is a movement away.
We said any movement away, any resistance, any denial of it, any form of saying that some parts of it good, some parts of, and so on, so on, it is still altogether a movement which is most destructive. It may produce marvelous things and all the rest of it, but as a whole it is it is corrupt. Now what shall I do? What shall my mind, realizing its nature, what will it do?
If it sees the corruption, then it must see that it cannot do anything.
Therefore, so what has taken place? Go on, sir. What has taken place? It has observed very clearly and objectively, non-emotionally, the movement of violence. Everywhere. Racially, linguistically, religiously. And also, one has observed, unemotionally, this movement inward also, inside the skin. Now, one realizes, one sees this. Then what? What takes place? And what takes place, sir? Look at it. What takes place?
I think one has to die.
Huh?
One has to die. I think it has to die.
No, sir, when you say one has to die, who is, again, I understand what you mean, but...
You're so sick of it that you just want to die.
I find that the mind becomes quiet when I look.
You give up.
You don't give up. You don't say when the house is burning, give it up. You try to do something about it.
Part of you becomes objective and withdraws from that phenomenon.
No, sir. Do please. You understand, sir? Any form, any movement of thought is the me. No? Any movement of thought is the me. So does the mind observe without thought, which is the me, or does it observe with the thought of the me? Can't you find out for oneself how you're looking at all this? How am I? How is the mind looking at this question? So don't so. How do you look at it, sir? How are you looking at it? Or you're not looking at it at all? No, now, sir.
One likes to think one is.
Are you, not think, are you looking at this thing?
With a sense of helplessness.
Why? Then you have a purpose in your looking. And not finding a purpose, not finding a way out, you become hopeless. Therefore, you are still looking with the eyes of the me. So go into yourself, go into it that way, and you will see what happens to your mind. Please proceed, sir.
You see it as something separate from you.
No, sir.
It's distant, surely.
Look, sir, what are we doing now? We are the mind in observation, seeing all the intricacies of it, the subtleties of it, the non-verbal interpretation, looking at all the movement. What has happened to the mind? Looking at the nationalities, the divisions of nationality, and the destruction of that, looking at the religious divisions, looking at the racial divisions, the prejudices, the resistances in oneself, you follow. The characteristics, the idiosyncrasies, the peculiarities of opinions and prejudices and all that is still the movement. I watched it move from step to step. What has happened to the mind that has looked at it that way? No, please watch it, your own mind. If you have done this, as we are doing it now, this morning and yesterday afternoon, observing it, step by step, patiently, all this movement of violence, the discipline that says, I must conform, I must obey, I must follow, this tradition that gives such sense of psychological security, which is still the me, watching all that. In that watching, what has happened to the mind? Huh? What?
It rejects it.
No. We said any rejection. No, you see, that means, look, sir, now what has happened? Now you don't reject now anymore.
Watchful.
What?
The mind is all that.
Your mind has done all this, sir. Watched, found it was rejecting or resisting, reacting to what you have found, which is another form of resistance, and so on. Now, when the mind has observed all this, what has happened to the mind? Go slow. What's happened to your mind?
It's got away from the me, hasn't it? It's becoming part.
No.
It sees the stupidity of the whole process.
Huh?
It sees the stupidity of the whole process.
All right. What you see the stupidity of the whole process. What is the state of the mind that sees the stupidity?
Stop.
Hasn't it become much more intelligent? Much more alive, much more passionate?
Then wants to do something.
You've got tremendous energy, haven't you? But you don't do.
Transformation of the
So you don't do it. Please do it and you will see what happens to you. We're all defeatists. We are so given up, we say, well, you can't do anything about it, it's impossible, and therefore we have no energy. But when you have gone into this step by step, go very carefully examining, looking, observing all this phenomena of the me, this movement. Never reject. When you reject, it means you're resisting it. You want something else. Or when there is despair, you are in despair because you are looking at it with the desire to find some hope out of it. Get some hope. And when there is no hope, you get, and so on and on and on.
It seems to me that there is no end to the observation, and therefore should there not be a stage where there is no observer?
That's what we are doing, sir. There is no observer when there is complete intelligence, which is attention. Please, you see, you don't do it.
So one feels one has brief moments of attention, but afterwards the
All right, sir.
conformity sets
All
in
right.
again.
I know you say there are moments of attention, but the rest of the time I'm inattentive. All right. Be aware of that inattention. But you see, you don't boil with all this. It isn't really a problem to you. A burning problem. How to live a life in which there is no violence. You understand? Violence means conformity.
But it is a problem.
No, sir, it is not. Because you don't understand the whole thing of it. When it is, violence means conformity. Am I conforming? I want to find out.
I might not understand the problem, but I want to understand it.
Do it now, sir. I'm telling you. Conformity is a form of violence. Now, are you conforming? Imitating?
Yes, up to a point.
No, not up to. I am conforming when I put on trousers. Right. And when I go to India, I put on something else. I'm conforming.
But perhaps you're talking about a different kind of conformity.
I'm conforming when a lady comes into the room, I get up. So I realize I'm conforming in certain direction. Am I conforming in the other direction? I'm inquiring, sir. Find out.
But if you surrender to the fact that you are conforming,
Huh?
if you surrender...
No, I want to find out where I am conforming. I know I'm conforming when I put this on. Am I conforming in the other direction? When I accept social morality, am I conforming? And when I reject social morality, I'm conforming to a morality which I have invented. Or which somebody else has invented, which I think is good, therefore I'm conforming. And when I'm comparing myself with somebody else, that's a conformity, comparing. That means violence. So see, find out if you're comparing, if you can live a life without comparison.
But there can be intelligent comparison, like intelligent putting on of trousers.
Wait a minute, sir. What do you mean intelligent comparison? Wait. I put on trousers because I don't want to attract attention if I put on Indian dress. It's a bore. So look, please find out, are you living a life of comparison, of conformity? Find out, sir. Conformity to a social pattern, to a religious pattern, to the tradition of an Englishman, German, French, all the rest of the blasted stuff, to conformity to a principle, conformity to an experience which has become knowledge, which is memory. You follow the complications of all this? So can the mind live without conformity? Conformity implies distortion.
Does it not imply identification with?
Of course. I identify myself with India or with England or with Germany because that gives me security. I compare myself with somebody who is very clever, very bright, very intelligent, enlightened, all that stuff, because,
Is it the me that wants to conform?
What?
Is it the me that wants to conform?
Find out, sir, whether you can live a life without measuring yourself against somebody. Go in.
Only if I can learn not to think.
Only if I can learn not to think. How can you learn not to think? You have to think. If you go back to your house, haven't you? Tonight when you leave this place, you have to think where you're going.
Yes, but I'm trying to say that this is where the problem exists.
So, can thought be stopped? Who is going to stop it? Another fragment of thought, which is still thought. So my question is, after examining all this, examining comparison, if I live a life of comparison, if I live a life of conformity, I find out if there is any form of aggression, resistance, accepting a principle, an objective in life, and living according to that, is a conformity. An ideal is a conformity. And conformity, comparison, is a movement of the me, obviously. Me that wants to be bigger, nobler. And when it can't be nobler, gets frustrated, angry, miserable, bitter, annoyed, and, cynical, all the rest of it, which is still the me. Now I say to myself, I've seen this very clearly. I don't want to go on giving more and more details. I see this very clearly. Any movement of the me is violence. Whether it is a movement towards the noblest ideal or the most repulsive pleasure. So I see, the mind sees this very clearly. Now I say to myself, what is the quality of the mind that has seen this? The quality, what is the quality of your mind that has observed how it is living, non-objectively, non-purposively, see it. What is the quality of the mind that has seen all this? Huh? Intense? Well, please, do you know, is your mind intense? Is your mind attentive? Do you see, don't use words unless it is real to you. Has the mind become extraordinarily sensitive because it is observed?
So, love.
Huh?
Love.
No, sir, please, sir. When you use the word love, what do you mean by that?
Something that sees just sees the distress that the harm, the damage that can be caused through.
No, sir, we're asking what is the quality of the mind that has seen all this?
Intelligence.
Huh?
Intelligence.
Is your mind intelligent now? Sorry, I've got to pin it down. I'm not being personal or insulting. Is one's mind, is your mind, after examining all this, aware, intelligent, and say, look, or is it just floating around?
Aren't you one step ahead of us, Krishnamurti? You're asking what is the state of the mind that sees this, and we're not seeing this because...
Aren't you?
No,
Why not?
I think somebody raised a question earlier, which is an extremely valid one, that we can sit here in a quiet room and we can look at our minds and our meanings, but as soon as we're thrown into the turmoil of ordinary daily activity, possibly every movement we make is one of violence. But if we don't make those movements,
we can't live.
Life would seem to stop. Work would seem to stop.
So what will you do?
Relationship would
So what will you do?
Well, isn't that the area we can explore?
All right, let's talk about that area. How to live a daily life without violence, right?
Yes.
How to lead a daily life in which there is no violence.
We don't even know if it is violence all the time.
I'm saying, all right, I don't know anything about it. We'll start from the beginning. We say now, there is violence in the world, of every kind. And world is being my daily life, with my relationship with my wife, with my friends, in my job, and so on, in my daily life, is part of violence. We are trying to find out if in daily life it is possible to live without violence.
First we have to know what part of daily life is violence.
We're going to examine it. Let's find out. Is my relationship with my wife, husband, boss, or with my neighbor violent? Violence being, we say, violence is the movement of a purposive, directive, self-interested movement. Obviously, that is violence.
But it's so difficult to know when one's making the movement, whether that movement is from self-interest.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out, madam. We're going to look into it. My relationship with my sister, with my husband, with my father, whatever. I'm bored in this relationship, aren't you? Is it based on violence? I want to find out. I'm not saying it is.
Is it based on habit, sir?
Huh?
Is it based on habit and routine?
Partly. We're going to find out, sir. We'll go step by step into it. I'm asking, is my relationship with you, with my wife, with my husband, with my friend, with my boss, with my foreman, is based on violence? And we said, what is violence? And we said violence is any form of division, right? The me and the not me. The me as the wife and the me as the husband, separate. Right?
Yes.
Now, do I live that way in my daily life? With my own problems, with my own ambition, with my own desires, prejudices, hopes, and he lives with his, and so on. Obviously, that's the way we live.
But you see, Krishna, if you take it back sort of nearer in a way, even nearer than relationship.
What is that?
Well, there's the physical techniques we have to live by, which we all accept. We carry this technique making over into our other life. But every day presents us with so many challenges and so much pressure that it seems if we do not use a certain thing which may be violence.
We'll find out, madam. I don't want to start saying it may be, or I want to find out if my life in relationship with the most detailed relationship, in the most petty little relationship, is based on violence. I want to find out. I'm going to, now we are not under pressure. No. Now, once I see it now, I will live that all the time.
Well, Esther, is there a difference between looking at the past, my daily life, and seeing that as it was, as violence, as ambition, as jealousy, and looking at the now as it happens?
Sir, we are talking of a life, daily life, aren't we? In which is included the past, past memories, in which including the living of the present, now the immediately, and the tomorrow. All that is what we call living. Right? Now I am asking myself, is my life violent? The living life, the daily life.
But tomorrow is unknown to us.
No, wait, sir, it's not unknown to us. You're going to go tomorrow and have your job. It's not unknown to us.
I think our difficulty is, do you have a purpose in looking at it?
So wait, sir, we are now saying, can we live a daily life of non-violence? And we are finding out what is violence in daily life.
So in this business of violence in daily life, one is inevitably caught up in violence. Every time you drive a car or take a plane, you're contributing to violence.
So I won't take
pollution.
Yeah. So I won't take a car. I won't go in an airplane. I won't buy a stamp. I won't write a letter.
I didn't say that, sir. I said.
Wait. We must go around to the extreme too. So I won't do anything.
No, that was not my conclusion at all. I just said we are completely.
Of course, sir, we are. Therefore, let's find out what to do, sir. Let's find out. What shall I do? Is my daily life a series of violent activities? We have defined or put into words what we mean by violence. And I find it is. My life is a life of division, separateness, with my ambitions, with my greeds, with my jealousies, with my resistances, reactions and prejudices, hopes, fears, despairs, my peculiar loyalties to a king, a country, a principle, and so on, so on, so on.
Is it even violence? The drive to do a job, to carry a job through, it seems as if you almost need a seed of violence to do, in a sense, it's not exactly violence, but is that drive, is that also part of this?
No, let's begin, we'll go into it. And I'm doing something, my job, writing a book or correcting, whatever one's job is. What is the motive behind it? What is the drive that makes me do it? Is the drive for money? Which is, I must have food. Is the drive beyond the money, beyond the food? Wanting to be somebody famous?
I don't think it's even on that level.
No, I'm going still, that's one of the levels. Am I doing it for a purpose? Except the physical survival?
Yes.
Hmm?
And one isn't doing it. I mean, there must be some sense of.
You see, I'm not. I may do it without any violence.
Yes, where is to find this out? If there is any purpose at all, then there must be some.
I think that one can live a life without purpose. We're going to find out.
There must be day-to-day purposes in a job or.
Oh, of course, I'll have to go to the post office.
Well.
Post a letter.
A little more than that.
Little more than that. I may. I have. What is the more?
It's a dangerous sort of borderline somewhere there. Violence comes in.
Surely, violence comes in the moment there is a purpose, there is a direction, the moment there is a division, the moment this is my work, this is my fulfillment. No, I'm not going to be thwarted. Or I see somebody else doing better job and I'm competing with that man.
As soon as you become involved in organization, I don't see how you can escape.
Wait. Am I? All right. So why can't I be involved in an organization without being involved in it? You came here by train, bus, or by your own car. All that implies a tremendous organization behind it. The train, look at what is involved in that organization. What shall I do? Not participate in taking a train? So where shall I draw the line?
Can I draw the line except at the actual moment? I think
No,
this is
no,
because
it
I
can't.
might think of something as violent, but in fact it isn't.
No, therefore, where shall I draw the line from moment to moment? Right? There, I'm doing it. Where shall I say this is violent, this is not violence? From moment to moment, you follow, sir? Otherwise, it becomes a principle, a directive, a purpose, and which is... So, it must be from moment to moment, which means what? Watch it, sir. Watch it. What happens when you are doing it from moment to moment?
Well, I think the answer is one discovers as one goes along. I don't
Which
think
means
one
what?
can have a...
Which means what? Go on, sir.
Well, one discovers how one is behaving, and suddenly certain behavior
So there is
becomes
a
unnecessary and
quality,
one stops.
a quality of mind that's always free to inquire and discovering. Isn't it? It doesn't function according to any pattern.
Well,
I mean,
it may be functioning according to a pattern, but it is not committed to the pattern.
no, wait. Let's go into it a little bit. From moment to moment, right, is watching. If I watch with the previous knowledge which I have acquired the previous moment, and through that knowledge act, it's not from moment to moment. Therefore, there must be no accumulation at all.
Well, we're bound to act, bound to accumulate. I mean, supposing we know that...
Wait. That's quite a different matter.
Well, I'm not sure.
The door and the psychological accumulation. If I am to live from moment to moment, understand violence from moment to moment, which means my mind must be astonishingly awake. Whether it's the door or other forms of accumulation. Am I doing it? I may do it for 2 minutes in the day, the rest is I've forgotten it. So what is going to make me? Fear, punishment, reward?
Interest.
Or you say interest. Have you got that interest?
No, I don't.
Then why why say it, sir? Then if you haven't got that interest, why? Why haven't you got that interest? When the house is burning, for God's sake.
Because there's so much else burning all around you.
Therefore I must do something about
And
it.
energy seems to be dissipated into the various, things that come every moment, or,
So I'm living from moment to moment, right? And from moment to moment I'm going to discover in my daily life whether I'm violent. Discover and understand. And therefore, next second may be non-violent. I must understand that. So the whole point is the mind awake enough to live from moment to moment?
under pressure.
Huh?
Under pressure. The pressure of...
Pressure, strain, somebody call me idiotic, you're a brute, you're nagging me, you're pulling me. You follow? Can I do this? Or
Isn't it then a question of energy?
well, right. The question of energy. How do you get energy? You get energy when there is a possibility of something, isn't there? If you say that's impossible, then you're finished.
But haven't there to be... You've argued that in effect every one of us in this room is violent 100% of his time. In other words, we are the snakes in this room. And to accept every moment as a crisis moment and accept it in its fullness does need this enormous energy. Where is the energy to come from?
Yeah, I understand. We are saying, sir, can the mind live from moment to moment in daily life to discover what is violence, and in the understanding of it, the change being made in the mind which is watching from moment to moment? That answers your question, doesn't it, really?
Well, it gives one an area for discovery.
Yes, which otherwise what? Otherwise you fall into a habit. Saying, I must not be violent. Which is then you're just conforming to an idea which you call...
Or even saying that one is always violent. Even to say I'm always violent.
Yeah,
it's
obviously.
the same thing.
Is violent... This is a very violent meeting, I felt. Is this violence necessary to bounce us, in some sense, from your point of view, into understanding?
Personally, I feel very strongly about all this, you see. I feel passionately that one must live differently.
And passion is violence.
No. Well, let's come to it. Oh, Lord. Is passion violent?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, sometimes it is.
Now we're off. Now, is passion violent?
It need not be purposeful.
What do you mean passion? Yes, but let's go. You all jump at it. What do you mean by passion?
Say if you feel so strongly about it.
Wait, let's find out what you mean by passion. What I mean by passion, what everybody means by passion. What do you mean by that word? That word, it comes from, I believe, from the word sorrow. Now, what a passionate, to feel very strongly. To feel very strongly that there must be a different kind of education. Is that violence? feel very strongly that children must be educated so that they will never conform. Is that passion? Is that violence?
Yes. It's in the definition of what we have defined as violence, which is not violent with intent.
But is that violent? I mean,
It's a mental violence because you're against the...
I did not say that. Please, sir, just carefully listen. I didn't say I'm against the present system. I said to educate children so that they never conform. They understand what conformity is, all the rest of it, and to feel very strongly that there must be a different generation, a new kind of people who don't conform. Is that to feel very strongly? Is that violence?
Surely the implementation of the feeling is...
Wait, no. Is that violence? Please...
It's concern.
Huh?
It's concern.
Concern. All right. Is that violence?
No.
What if some parents and teachers wish to start a small school implementing their ideas? And
Let them. I have nothing to do with it.
No, I know, but but they are.
But I'm not concerned. The whole government is concerned with making people conform. What am I to do? All education throughout the world is make the children conform.
Sir, there are notices at the end of this school asking people not to sit on the table.
Oh no, we're all. You see, that's where. See, we don't go together. We've said, look, to put on trousers, to sit at a table, to eat properly, not to make noise, all the rest of it, is a form of conformity, if you must use that word. It's consideration, really.
I think
Care. What's that?
I think our trouble is that we get stuck on a word
Yes,
rather
that
than
just
letting a number of words
yeah.
carry us through what we want to
We're changing all the time the words.
If I'm passionately involved in wanting to bring about these reforms, it must mean that I am not in tune with the existing forms of education, and therefore there is an element of violence in my mind because I want to implement this. If the structure didn't exist as it was, then I would be approaching it in a far less passionate and far more
Oh no,
calm and rational manner.
this conformity in education has existed for thousands of years. Religious education. And you come along, someone comes along and says, look, this way of living is the most destructive. And he says, I'm not concerned in altering other people. I feel this very strongly. I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to go in revolt and starve and fast and bring the policeman into it. I'm going to talk about it. And I feel very strongly about it. Because I feel a different kind of human being must come into being. Otherwise we're going to destroy it. And I feel this passionately, very strongly. And if anybody listens, all right. If it doesn't, it's all right. But I feel very strongly. That's not violence. In implementing it, I'm going to talk to the people who want to bring it up, or I discuss with them. Let us see how this can be worked out. There is no spark of violence in this.
But there is purpose.
Vivan?
There is purpose.
There is a purpose in the sense. You see, again, we are using.
I'm only saying this because this is the sort of situation one finds oneself in when many times one is wholly sure that this is a movement of violence.
Look,
but sometimes one is not quite sure.
Yeah, but I watered the garden. It's a purpose. Because otherwise, in this month of no rain at all, I must water.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's a purpose.
Oh, that's very clear.
Wait. Now, is there a purpose identified with the me in wanting a different kind of education? If I become the principal person around whom they educate, etc., the me then has a purpose, using the purpose as an instrument of education for me. And that's all very clear.
Ego identified purpose.
What?
Ego identified.
That's right, sir. Any form of identification with a purpose is the movement of the ego. If I say, well, I think different kind of education is necessary, and I'm identified myself with it, it's my baby, and it's not nobody else's, then I'm...
But in wanting to change what is, isn't there violence?
Oh, my Lord. Sir, in wanting to change what is, how does that happen? I see the modern education as corrupt. That is what is. Now, I say to myself, if the establishment, if the capitalist or the communist society is responsible for this corruption, therefore I'm going against the government, against the policeman, against the law, revolt, and collect a lot of people who throw bricks around, etc., etc., it is a violence. But if I say, look, I see this fact, that is what is, I'm not going to react to it. And I say, this is what is, and the understanding of what is has brought about the mind that says there must be different kind of education. Not revolt against what is. That's clear, isn't it? Or you always feel. The understanding of what is has brought about the intelligence that says an education based on non-conformity, which is not a revolt, which is not the opposite of what is, which is quite a different thing from what is, which is the truth through the understanding of what is. Is that clear? Okay. So, in daily life, is there a living in which there is no violence? I'm going to discover it from moment to moment. And otherwise, how can I discover it? I can only say to myself, I will live a life of non-violence, and which becomes another form of conformity, and therefore essentially violence. So I can only live a daily life, a life which I know is violent, by looking at it afresh every minute, afresh, not with a mind that is trained to be violent. Now, can I do that in daily life? From moment to moment, look at my life afresh. Not with the past memory, afresh, anew. Obviously I can do it.
But isn't that I feel again the question of energy. Of course
I have the energy, sir. You have the energy immediately, boiling with it. Because then you're going to understand it, move, live.
But I think perhaps the question is that there are a lot of things one could actually spend one's time looking at, and one would actually intensify the observer in doing so. Whereas there are certain things that come to one, throughout one's daily life, which shock one with an awareness of what's happening, and these are the things one naturally looks at. And I think sometimes there can be a misunderstanding from what you say that people feel they've got to kind of.
I know. We said. Any movement of the me, which has any movement which has a purpose, a directive, a sense of identification, is the me, which is the essence of violence, because it divides. Now, do I observe afresh every movement, daily life? Eating, walking, watching. Is there any sense of purpose in it? If I do, then I'm back again in the old rut. So can I watch my daily life from moment to moment freely? Not identifying with the past or with freely. And that gives me tremendous energy, because I don't carry the burden of yesterday. I don't carry all the prejudices, the mischief I have done yesterday, the lies I have told yesterday. I'm going to discover if I'm going to tell a new lie. I don't say I mustn't tell a lie. You follow, sir?
Yes, but I think that this to me suggests a better word. We're actually living freely rather than watching whether one can live freely.
I change the word.
I
change the word.
Oneself in life.
I change the word. Live freely from moment to moment, which means you have to watch.
Which means you also have to live.
Therefore, one has to learn. We'll go back. One has to learn how to watch without duality, which means the duality exists when there is a prejudice, when there is conformity, when there is comparison, when there is a judgment, when there is an opinion. So is my mind looking, thinking in terms of opinions? I have to fight from moment to moment, free to discover. Right, sir? It's fairly clear, isn't it?
But then I think what might find myself back in that gentleman's position of getting on an airplane and realising one's going to destroy the environment of other people through the noise of the plane, you see.
So what shall I do? So I realize I have to conform to certain directions.
Yeah, but then
If the mind is awake from moment to moment, it will answer all these questions. That's all. If the mind is free, you have the answer, right answer for every moment.
But the mind isn't free if it's spending all its time watching.
No, sir. Look, I said it. We said it must be free. To be free, you have to watch. Otherwise, you are asleep. I say, being asleep, I can say to myself, I'm free. Well, it means nothing. Is it time to stop? Is it? Huh?
I think so.
What was that?